never and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another and suffer the indignity. And suffer the indignity of being the scum of the world. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa.
On May 29, millions of South Africans will cast their vote in their country's 7th general election, marking 30 years of democracy since the end of the racist apartheid policies. South Africa, or Mzansi as locals call it, is a nation with a complex past, which embarked on a profound journey of transformation in April 1994, when Nelson Mandela was elected as its first black president. This documentary explores South Africa's 30-year journey since that historic moment, examining the political and economic evolution under 4 presidencies: Mandela, Thabo Mbeki, Jacob Zuma, and Cyril Ramaphosa. On April 27th, at age 77, which he spent 27 years in jail as a freedom fighter, Nelson Mandela was inaugurated after his party, the African National Congress (ANC), won 62% of the vote, marking the beginning of a new era. After decades of apartheid, Mandela's leadership symbolized hope, reconciliation, and the birth of the Rainbow Nation. His government focused on dismantling apartheid's legacy and promoting national unity. Mandela's tenure was about building a unified national identity. South Africa, under apartheid, was split into several Bantustans, or native homelands, that were propped up to function as independent states, with the hidden motive to keep black and white separate and away from the cities, whilst temporarily tapping on black labor to mine in the cities. These Bantustans were only recognized by the apartheid government. No one else recognized them. These all had police, intelligence, and separate armies, which Mandela then collapsed into a single South Africa, single army, police, and intelligence. In keeping with the unity theme, aside from merging these Bantustans into one South Africa, Mandela's cabinet itself included key former apartheid leaders like F.W. de Klerk, who was previously president, became one of Mandela's 2 deputy presidents, and Pik Botha, who was previously foreign affairs minister and became Mandela's minister for mines and energy. The next task was what to do with the bitterness and animosity after several years of racial violence. Then came the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, whose key figure was Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who was pivotal in addressing past atrocities and fostering a sense of healing, with family members of victims testified to murders of loved ones in front of their killers. The killers expressing remorse and the family members forgiving and looking forward. This is a beautiful story, but not all agree and not all wounds are healed. In 1996, Mandela signed a new constitution into law, establishing a strong central government based on majority rule. It guaranteed minority rights and freedom of expression, approved by the Constitutional Court on December 4, 1996. It took effect on February 4, 1997. The Constitution is based on human dignity, equality, human rights, non-racialism, non-sexism, and the rule of law. Economically, Mandela inherited a struggling economy that was heavily sanctioned by Africa and some Western countries. His administration aimed at stabilizing the macroeconomy, encouraging foreign investment, and implementing the Reconstruction and Development Program, RDP, to address socio-economic disparities. In June 1996, South Africa introduced the Growth, Employment and Redistribution GEAR policy to rapidly liberalize the economy. Key measures included relaxing exchange controls, privatizing state assets, liberalizing trade, making labor markets more flexible, reducing the budget deficit, and stabilizing the rand. GEAR aimed to boost economic growth, increase employment, and redistribute income to benefit the poor. Its goals included 6% economic growth by 2000, employment growth, inflation below 10%, savings at 12.5% of GDP by 2000, and a budget deficit below 4% GDP. Mandela laid the groundwork for economic reform, but significant challenges, including a multi-billion-dollar arms deal, were investigated for corruption later, particularly in tackling unemployment and poverty, which contributed to very high crime rates. As Mandela traveled the world, rebranding South Africa's image abroad, it is well documented that much of Mandela's presidency was made functional by his close ally Mark Maharaj and his other deputy president, Thabo Mbeki. Thabo Mbeki, son of a freedom fighter and jailmate of Mandela, Govan Mbeki, he rose to prominence as a student activist in exile in Zambia and the UK for about 20 years, and then as Mandela's deputy president. Mandela's successor took office with a vision of transforming South Africa into a leading economy on the African continent. His presidency focused on economic growth, an African renaissance, and addressing the HIV/AIDS epidemic. Mbeki's approach was characterized by his push for an African renaissance, emphasizing African self-reliance, democratic governance among African leaders, as he is considered to be one of the brains behind the rebooted Organization for African Unity, OAU, into the African Union, AU, which saw the creation of accountability mechanisms like the African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM, and economic development bodies that would give Africa a stronger voice on how development aid is distributed, like NEPA, the New Partnership for Development. However, his controversial stance on HIV/AIDS had significant repercussions. Under Mbeki, South Africa experienced substantial economic growth, averaging around 4.5% annually. His administration's policies aimed at reducing the fiscal deficit and promoting black economic empowerment to increase the black. According to research by Afrobarometer, during Mbeki's 9 years as president, South Africa's economy grew by an average of 4% annually, and black participation in the economy increased. The black middle class expanded significantly, from 350,000 in 1993 to nearly 3 million by 2019. The black share of the country's middle class jumped from 11% to 41%. However, unemployment and inequality remained persistent issues, including accusations that the BEE benefited politically linked people. Despite economic progress, Mbeki's presidency was marred by his handling of the HIV/AIDS crisis, which led to criticism and a public health catastrophe, with an HIV rate of 14.4% of the population in 2008. Thabo Mbeki was re-elected with a bigger majority at 69% in 2004 from 66% in 1999. This tenure secured South Africa's spot as host of the 2010 FIFA World Cup, and also saw South Africa added to the group of emerging or re-emerging economies, then known as BRIC, and then known as BRICS after South Africa's addition. More closer to home, however, he was criticized primarily by the UK and the US for his lack of condemnation for Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe on how he handled the land reform and other human rights violations. Thabo Mbeki resigned as president of South Africa in September 2008 due to pressure from his own party, the ANC. The resignation followed a court ruling that suggested his administration had interfered in legal proceedings against his rival, Jacob Zuma. To maintain party unity and avoid further division, the ANC's National Executive Committee asked Mbeki to step down, and he Following his resignation, an interim president, Halema Motlan, succeeded him in 2008 until the expiry of Mbeki's term and Jacob Zuma's election in May 2009. Jacob Zuma, a former freedom fighter who endured imprisonment on Robben Island, played a crucial role in the anti-apartheid struggle, assumed the presidency in 2009 amidst high hopes for a brighter future. Despite his significant contributions to South Africa's liberation, his presidency would become one of the most tumultuous in the nation's history, marked by a 65% ANC majority in 2009. Economically, South Africa faced stagnation and rising unemployment under Zuma's leadership. While he introduced policies like the New Growth Plan, National Development Plan, and Radical Economic Transformation (RET), allegations of corruption and state capture marred his administration. The Gupta family's undue influence over government affairs, coupled with allegations of bribery and kickback, fueled public outrage and eroded investor confidence. Jacob Zuma's presidency was characterized by a complex mix of achievements and scandals. While healthcare improvements, including expanded access to antiviral treatment (ARVs) and a widespread HIV counseling and testing campaign, led to significant reductions in HIV transmission and increased life expectancy. Corruption scandals like the Nkandla controversy, where he was accused of making home upgrades at the state's expense, tarnished his legacy. Amid mounting pressure, Zuma faced numerous calls to resign from within his own party and the broader public. In February 2018, faced with the mounting political pressures and the imminent possibility of a vote of no confidence in Parliament, Jacob Zuma resigned from the presidency. His resignation marked the end of a turbulent chapter in South Africa's history and paved the way for new leadership under Cyril Ramaphosa. Cyril Ramaphosa inherited a nation yearning for change and renewal. His presidency has focused on restoring trust, fighting corruption, and revitalizing the economy. This period of excitement was popularly known as Ramaphoria. Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa's journey to presidency was marked by activism against apartheid and leadership roles in organizations like the National Union of Mine Workers, NUM, and Congress of South African Trade Unions, COSATU. Despite facing detention and exile, he continued his activism, eventually becoming the General Secretary of the ANC and leading negotiations during South Africa's transition to democracy. Following business ventures and roles in national and international affairs, Ramaphosa served as Deputy President of the state from 2014. After being elected President of the ANC in December 2017, he assumed the presidency in February 2018 and was elected President in 2019 with 57% of the parliamentary vote. Ramaphosa's inauguration marked a new chapter in South Africa's history. Ramaphosa's new dawn promised to tackle the deep-seated issues left by his predecessor. His commitment to anti-corruption measures and economic reform has been central to his agenda. Economically, Ramaphosa faced daunting challenges, including a sluggish economy, high unemployment, and the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Ramaphosa's policies, including the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, aim to stimulate growth and create jobs. However, the pace of change has been slow, with GDP growth from 2019 to 2022 averaging at 0.9%. In recent years, South Africa has faced a turbulent political landscape under the leadership of Cyril Ramaphosa. Promising to clean up the government and restore investor confidence, his presidency has been marked by challenges. Ramaphosa's efforts to combat corruption were overshadowed by scandals, such as the Fla farm scandal, where allegations emerged of $4 million being transported to his farm from Namibia. Although investigations cleared Ramaphosa of wrongdoing, the damage to his reputation remained. A significant setback occurred with the arrest of Ramaphosa's predecessor, Jacob Zuma, in mid-2021. This led to widespread social unrest, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal province. Amidst domestic challenges, Ramaphosa has also played a prominent role in shaping South Africa's foreign policy and expanding its global influence. He led 6 African countries in mediating the Ukraine-Russia conflict through the Africa Initiative, showcasing South Africa's commitment to peace and diplomacy on the world stage. Chairing the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa group, Ramaphosa has worked to expand its membership and influence, elevating South Africa's role in global governance. Furthermore, Ramaphosa has elevated South Africa's global role by taking bold steps in international justice. In January 2024, following the October 7 attacks that killed approximately 1,200 Israelis, South Africa, under Ramaphosa's leadership, took the State of Israel to the ICC, International Criminal Court, for genocide, following the manner in which Israel retaliated in the Gaza Strip when the Gaza death toll was at 25,000. As South Africa navigates both domestic challenges and global responsibilities under Ramaphosa's leadership, the path forward remains complex and uncertain, yet ripe with opportunities for progress and change. The aftermath of these events left many questioning the stability of South Africa's political landscape. Yet, amidst the turmoil, Ramaphosa's leadership remains complex and demanding. South Africa's journey since 1994 has been a testament to resilience, hope, and the continuous struggle for a better future. South Africa remains Africa's most industrialized country and among the top 5 democracies in Africa. As the nation moves forward, the lessons of the past 3 decades will shape the path to a more equitable and prosperous society. For more on South Africa and its election on May 29, 2024, check out our latest podcast speaking to an expert on the who's and the what's at stake. This has been A4D's Africa Explained. Thank you for watching.